I think everyone, whether it's musicians, fans, music critics, they're all part of this phenomenon of Retromania. You know, I mean, everyone enjoys the reference game. It's kind of fun to listen to music and sort of say, oh, that comes from here, that comes from there. It's, you know, the knowledge feels empowering, and you feel kind of cool to recognize things. Everyone's doing that. You know, people labels that reissue old stuff and find all kinds of obscure things that have completely been forgotten. Fans, people who put stuff on YouTube. Everyone's part of Retromania culture, I think, and it's not all bad either. You know, my book is a critique of it, but it also enjoys a lot of aspects of it as well. I have tended in the past to write about kinds of music that are all about the future, you know, like post-punk music. It was very much like innovation and change, and always looking for the next development, the next mutation. And you know, I wrote about techno and the whole rave electronic thing, and that was totally bound up with, you know, a race to get to the future ahead of everyone else. There wasn't really a vanguard like that in the last decade, in the 21st century. When we got to the future, there wasn't really a future music that you could do that to. You know, it's much more been about looking back and revivals, and some of my favorite music actually is quite backward-looking in some respects. So I had to work through this. It was like a thing to work through the future, the past, nostalgia, being nostalgic but not being ashamed of being nostalgic. So it's a kind of complex set of emotions that is inside this book, Retromania. But I think beyond my personal things, there's just a kind of a fascination for, like, why is there no, you know, what happened to music? Why is it so bound up with history and returning to things, recycling things, revisiting these sort of golden eras of music? See, the two things that I was into when I was a teenager, first was science fiction, and then I got into music and it kind of replaced science fiction. But there was, you know, similar kind of feeling that I got from science fiction that I would get later from music, which was just a kind of sense of speed and of going to an unfamiliar world and disorientation and this sort of kind of edgy excitement, kind of what I call like the future rush, you know. Exhilaration, but also kind of fear as well. And the first music that ever grabbed my attention was glam rock.
You've got me, girl, on the run around, and it's getting me down, getting me down.
That was kind of quite strange and futuristic. You know, think of David Bowie, his whole image was of an alien, and people like Mark Bolan and Sparks, you know, they all looked pretty weird and tripped out. It seemed to be music that had its eye on the future, and bands were like in a competition, in a race to get to the future ahead of everyone else. And so I guess maybe my kind of my metabolism, my cultural metabolism, became addicted to this kind of idea of speed, of going somewhere fast, you know. There's a sort of a common thing people say about music journalists, that, you know, they're all failed musicians. In my case, that's not the case, because I never really tried to be a musician. I knew I didn't have any ability. I mean, I was always almost as soon as I got into music seriously, I discovered the music press, and I was as excited about the writing in the music press, the British music papers like Enemy, as I was by the music, and I knew I could do that, because I came from my parents are journalists. I read a lot. I'd always read reviews of books. I like to read books about politics and stuff. I knew that I could come up with words. So books is, for someone like me, books is a good way to go because at a certain point, the grind of writing about music every week, it's quite exhausting, and it's nice to have a kind of long-term project where you can think really deeply about something and just take a direction that's, that's what you'll be doing for a year or 2 years. But then if you want to write about something and you just have to write about it, I can still do that. I can take a break from the book and write about some artist. But it's not like I'm having to sort of hunt every week to find something exciting enough to write about. I can just sort of do it and then have the long-term thing as well.